Go and sin no more. Greetings and welcome to Chant a Psalm a Day. Today's a special day. I started off with Bob Marley's Selassie is the Chapel. And today is Selassie the First's birthday. Yes. And it's a very powerful day today. Yes. Hail him. And let's see. So, on this day in 1892, 1892, July 23rd, His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I was born as Lij Tafari Makonnen on July 23, 1892, in the town of Jisara, Gora, in the Haraj province, some 18 miles outside of the city of Harar, Ethiopia. Lij Tafari was given the religious name Haile Selassie. He was the son of Ras Makonnen, governor of Harar under his kinsman, Emperor Menelik II. Ras Makonnen a Showa Amharian noble, was married to an Oromo, Yashim Abet, who died 2 years after Lij Tafarai's birth. In a significant break with precedence, Lij Tafarai Makonnen was raised with an standing firm in righteousness when it came to world affairs and with an exposure to the outside world. Haile Selassie I was to become the first emperor of Ethiopia to have traveled extensively abroad. Ras Makonnen and therefore Lij Tafarai Makonnen were directly of the Solomonic line, as was Emperor Menelik himself and Tafarai Makonnen's great-great-grandfather, Negus Sahila Selassie of Showa. I love that. Negus Sahila Selassie, that was Selassie I, great-great-grandfather of Showa. King Sahili Selassie had already made treaties with foreign states, including Queen Victoria's Britain. So we are celebrating the birth of, this is a birth of, some people call the second coming of Christ in his kingly character. Some folks call this the return of Jesus as Negus. Some people call this birth a sign that the living God, the living righteousness is among us and is not gone. And they try to crucify Jesus, you know, bury him, he rose again, and this is what's happened again. That entity of righteousness and goodness cannot be destroyed. It is going to return, and many are going to not know, because it's going to return as a thief in the night. You're not going to know. You're going to have to be coming into yourself. You're going to have to be opening your mind to a narrative that is about righteousness, mercy, long-suffering, kindness. It's about all of that. And when you come into that knowledge, you are going to see every little sign, okay, every little sign as evidential evidence as to how things are matching and things are adding up. Okay, so I'm not here to debate, I'm not here to argue, I'm not here to quarrel with folks and tell them you need to look at the living God, you need to look at that. I'm not here to do any of it. So oh, here it is. So, excuse me, it is not even 6 a.m. yet. I was supposed to be doing this at midnight when it came July 23rd. However, I'm going to do it here. So, we're going to go through the commandments, okay, Moses' commandments. And the first commandment is to have no other gods, right? We are to fear, love, and trust righteousness above all things. And that is what God means. God means righteousness, mercy, long-suffering, forgiveness. That's the word today, forgiveness. And when I got up, yesterday I just forgave someone that hurt me. I just let it go. I forgive. And it came from deep inside of my heart. So when we look at the first commandment, we should love righteousness above anything else, right? That's what we should love. That's what we should fear. That's what we should trust above all things. because there are going to be other things out there that's going to come at you for you to trust in. And these are money, sex, drugs, alcohol, gambling. All of these things are what some people trust in, that, oh, I'm going to win it big, and they keep going and going and end up in a cycle of addiction and a cycle of stuck like Chuck. So we have to put away these things as our gods, and we have to put righteousness as our first and foremost serving that. You can call it what you want, but ultimately it is goodness, mercy, righteousness, kindness, and love, and long suffering, and forgiveness. When you have all of that, and when you're exploring that, and when you're trying to find that, and you're seeking the face of that, everything else falls away, and you're going to be in a space where nothing can take away the joy, nothing can take away your happiness, because it's from within, and nothing can conquer that within you unless you allow that to, right? You don't want that. So that is our first commandment, is to put righteousness first. Okay, that is first. The second commandment is, you shall not take the name of righteousness and use it wrongfully. So when you're calling on, like I tell people, when you're calling on the name of God, Lord, and Jesus, you better be living that in your actions, because the second commandment is about, you shall not make wrongful use of the name of righteousness. So you don't want to take righteousness into a wrongness. Know what I mean? So that second commandment is, we are to fear and love all that is good and righteous, so that we do not curse, swear, practice magic, lie, or deceive, using righteousness's name, using the name of God, Lord, and Jesus. And you're using these names to commit curses and lies and deceit, but instead you use that very name in every time of need. So to call on, to commune with, to make melody to give thanks to righteousness, love, mercy, and kindness. That is what we have to do instead. Instead, use that very name to do that. So when you're calling God, Lord, and Jesus, and especially Jesus, a lot of people say in Jesus' name, but yet they're not eating like Jesus. They're not forgiving like Jesus. They're not long-suffering like Jesus. They're not merciful like Jesus. They're not compassionate like Jesus. They're not kind like Jesus. You know, there's a story I mentioned to someone yesterday, because they were talking about all certain races are this way and that way. And I said, that's not what it is. I said, because when Jesus was walking and he saw the Samaritan lady, nobody was supposed, some Samaritans was like, okay, all of these folks are not good. And instead, what did Jesus do? Instead, he used that righteousness of the Most High as a channel. He was that vessel, right? And some people even say that was God coming into the human flesh. So it's the same thing with Selassie the First today, coming into that human flesh and as the Most High. So we want to use that name in every time of need to call on. I call on the Trinity, the power of the Trinity, the triune God. I call on the the righteousness and mercy of the Most High. We want to commune with that. We want to make melody to that. We want to give thanks to that. So that is the second commandment. The third commandment is to remember the sacred days and keep these days sacred. So in fearing and in loving, you got to fear and love that righteousness and mercy, so that we do not despise preaching or despise the words of righteousness, but instead keep that word sacred. Remember, you want to purify the word in the fire 7 times before you open your mouth, and gladly listen and learn it. Listen and learn it. So the third commandment is about the word. It's about the word. It's about remembering to keep the word sacred. It's talking about the Sabbath day, but that can be any day for anyone. In Ethiopia, it's today, Tuesday. My workshop is closed. We're celebrating the birth of His Majesty. That we cannot deny. They cannot deny that His Majesty came on this earth, Haile Selassie I, in 1892. Okay? In 1892, this happened. It cannot be denied. So we celebrate that because that liberates the word, and it unshackles the word so that it can free your mind. It can free your righteousness to be righteous, to express righteousness wherever you go, right? That is what it's about. So this third commandment is beautiful, it's powerful, and it's about being glad to listen and learn. The fourth commandment is to honor your parents. Honor your parents. Honor your parents so your days on the earth may be long. Okay? So that we don't despise nor anger our parents and others in authority, but instead we honor, we serve, we obey, we love, and we respect our parents. So this is a very important commandment, the fourth commandment. It's about respecting your elders, okay? Greeting your elders, respecting your elders, obeying your elders, loving and having honor for your elders and for folks that it's in authority, specifically your parents, okay? So that we neither despise nor anger our parents. Sometimes parents are abusive. Sometimes parents don't protect their children, and the children are told that they have to honor still. So I am going to shout out, I'm going to send a word out there to children that are being abused and molested and being hurt by their parents, or anybody in authority, or any adult, that the Most High righteousness takes them out of that situation. Takes them out of that situation and puts them in a place of serenity, tranquility, and protection. I'm calling on that today because of the fourth commandment. The fifth commandment is about not murdering. Not murdering. So that we neither endanger folks nor harm the lives of our neighbors, but instead we help and support folks in all of life's needs. And this is what I have done. I have supported folks in all their life's needs, helping them, and in turn I was not valued or I was taking for granted. So the fifth commandment of not murdering goes deeper. It goes deeper into not endangering or harming, okay, someone. Someone is walking across the street and there's a big truck coming. You want to say, hey, there's a truck coming, come out of the road. You want to, you do not want Um, where am I? You don't want to put people in danger or harm. Okay, this is about protecting people and not murdering, not killing, not doing that. The sixth commandment is about infidelity. It's about cheating. It's about adultery. So that we lead pure and decent lives in word and in works. So it's not just what you speak, it's what you do, right? Decent lives, being honest with folks. Oh, I want to break up. I don't want this anymore. I want to see other people, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's what you do. That's what you do. That's leading a pure and decent life, being honest and communicating and not making an excuse that, oh, somebody's hard to talk to. Nobody's hard to talk to. You can communicate your feelings. If you feel somebody's hard to talk to, then it's about you being intimidated by that person. So look at yourself all the time. Don't look at somebody else and speak of what they are making you do or what they are making you feel. You have to be able to stand up and be accountable for your actions. So the sixth commandment is about living decent and loving and honoring your partner, your spouse, your husband, your wife. That's what the sixth commandment is. So the seventh commandment is about stealing. It's about taking things that are not belonging to you, right? Similar to like Christopher Columbus, who came and took what didn't belong to him because people were already living there. So that we neither take our neighbor's money or property, right? Nor acquire money and property by using shoddy merchandise or crooked deals, right? But instead strengthen each other to improve and protect each other's property and income. So this seventh commandment is about stealing, taking and not giving, not protecting somebody's income. So instead of asking somebody for money, you're going to say, you know what, let me protect this person's income. I'm not going to take from this person. Let me protect this person's income. I know I need $200 because my truck note is about to get whatever. But guess what? That's stealing. That commandment, that seventh commandment, is stealing. Because when you give somebody, you're not helping to improve and protect their property and their income, because you're taking from them. So instead of taking from them, try to learn ways to manage your money. Try to learn ways to have a budget. Try to learn ways not to live beyond your means. You know, that is what you do. Because when you don't do that, you end up stealing from other people. Oh, I want to borrow $20 here, $40 here, $50 here, $100 here. And that's what you become. That's the seventh commandment. You shall not steal, right? You are not going to take people's money and property. You're going to try to protect people's property and their income. You're not going to try to acquire money and property by crooked ways. That's stealing. So the seventh commandment, you shall not steal, goes deep, really deep. The eighth commandment, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. That means don't lie on folks. Don't lie on folks, so that we do not tell lies about folks, betray or slander folks, or destroy folks' reputations. Instead, we are to come to people's defense, speak well of them, and interpret everything they do in the best possible light. My mom did that. She said the person who met someone else and didn't tell me didn't want to hurt my feelings. And I said, okay, but you're hurting my feelings even more by not saying anything, and it's going to hurt later on even more. So the eighth commandment is about honesty. It's about being true. It's about not betraying or slandering folks. It's about not destroying folks' reputations, right? Instead, we are to come to folks' defense, speak well of folks, and interpret everything folks do in the best possible light. So when somebody does something, I said, oh, maybe they didn't know. Maybe they weren't aware. So you want to interpret that in the best possible light, as opposed to attacking a person, right? So folks do that, and I'm guilty of this eighth commandment myself. When somebody does something to me, I want to expose it, how it hurt me, and it ends up exposing that person's actions and maybe their reputation because of what they've done. So what do? Do you expose the truth that this person did this to you? Or do you come to their defense and say, you know what, they made a mistake, they didn't know what they were doing, and say that and speak that instead? And interpret what they did in the best possible light, right? To interpret it in the best possible light. They were tired of being alone. They were tired of whatever. They couldn't communicate with me. They're not mature enough. You know, all of these things I'm going to speak about to look at them in the best possible light. Okay? The ninth commandment. You shall not covet your neighbor's house or want what people have. So that we do not try to trick people out of their inheritance or property, or try to get it for ourselves. Because people do that. When people pass away, everybody's like vultures trying to get something from the inheritance or the property. I told my dad, I remember before he passed, I said, I don't want a thing. I don't want nothing. All because I'm not going with it. I don't want it. Inheritance, I have an inheritance that is a greater inheritance that's coming from above. I'm faithful in that inheritance because I've been adopted by the greatness of love and forgiveness and kindness that is the Most High. So because I've been adopted by that, I'm a child of that. Now I have to, everything else falls away. So I cannot be in somebody's will. I cannot be in somebody's inheritance, and I cannot be taking somebody's property when they pass, because the ninth commandment talks about I'm not going to try to get out of anybody's inheritance. And this goes to speak to the fact that we have a greater inheritance. So by claiming to have a legal right to it and the like, that's what people do. They say that they have legal rights to this, etc. Instead, be of a strength and service to folks by keeping what is theirs. So in keeping what is theirs. So be a service. Go cut the bush on the property. Go clean the office at the church, which I volunteered. I'm like, I'll clean the office in the church. It's a mess. So do that. Protect the person's property and their, instead of coveting or wanting what they have. You know, help them. So that's the ninth commandment. The 10th commandment is about, this is really deep. The 10th commandment, it says, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or male or female, or anything. You should not want what somebody else has, their wife, their car, their house, their dog, or anything that belongs to them. You should not do that. You should want for yourself. You should try to want for yourself. So when people, that's why I think it was it Abraham or Moses, when they went into a town God told them to don't say that's your wife, say that's your sister, because people are going to want to covet her. They're going to want to have her because she is beautiful. She's an Ethiopian woman, and you know, this is what God told him to do. Lie and say that's not your wife, that's your sister. So because this happens, so because of the 10th commandment, we do not entice, we do not force or steal away from our from folks, from their spouses, their household workers, or their animals, but instead we urge them to stay and fulfill responsibilities. So this, you stay and help a widow, you stay and help someone. You don't want to entice and to force someone to be with you. You know, you don't want to do that. So you're not gonna covet your friend's wife, your friend's girlfriend, your friend's husband, your friend's partner. You're not gonna do that, or anything that belongs to them. So this is what happens. This happened to someone. They had a backpack and everybody wanted to try the backpack on. Everybody was coveting this backpack that this person had. When somebody gets a new car, everybody wants to drive the new car. They want that, right? So the 10th commandment is about basically not enticing or forcing or stealing away from ones, right? Not doing that, not forcing ones to be with you, not trying to force ones to be with you or to love you or to be patient with you, or you cannot force ones to do that, but instead you can urge them to fulfill their responsibilities to each other. You know, like I told my ex's new girlfriend, I said, just love her. Don't be threatened by me. Just love her. That's all you do. I'm not one to fight. I am a lover, not a fighter. And if somebody wants to go, let them go. They're not happy, then they need to find happiness. If they think that finding happiness with someone is going to make them happy, they're going to always be going from person to person to person to person and never fulfilling their inner happiness. So I'm happy without someone. I'm happy with someone. I'm happy. Being with someone shouldn't complete you. It should add to your happiness, right? So that is our 10th commandment. And it's those are the commandments. As we go into the psalm today, it's Psalm 33, and it's talking about the steadfast love of righteousness. This steadfast love. What is this steadfast love of the Lord? We talk about the Lord, God, Jesus, Jehovah. What is that? That is righteousness, ultimately. So this psalm is about 22 verses. And it starts off with shout. Okay, shout. So we're going to shout. We're going to shout. We're going to shout because that's the first word in the psalm today, shout. What are we shouting? What are we shouting? Take a moment and think about, what do you want to shout? Joy. Joy. and welcome to Chant a Day. We are here. I began with the 10 Commandments. I began with Selassie is the Chapel by Bob Marley. I don't have the rights to that music, nor do I have the rights to Chant a Day by Steel Pulse. I love the day today. This is the day that righteousness has made. Let us rejoice in this day. Thank you, El Sue. Greetings of tranquility to you too, with great joy for the Most High daily. Every day we are thankful that we are here. We're thankful that we are alive and we can do something good with ourselves today. So what are you going to do good with yourself today? Today is the 23rd of July. It is the birthday of His Majesty, yes, Selassie the First. Today in 1892, July 23rd, yes, the creation is echoing it. Haile Selassie First was birthed today by his mom, Mariam, okay? And it's significant because it is, oh wait, it is very significant because it's a call to black people. It's a call to black people, to all people, that look at this, look at what we have been given, but we have rejected it. That is the stone the builder has rejected, okay? In 1966, April 21st, my dad, may the Most High rest his life as he transitions to a new one, right? My dad was in Vietnam in April 21st, 1966. I have the picture. It says that on the bottom of the picture. April 21st, 1966. My dad was in Vietnam. That is the same day that Haile Selassie I arrived and landed in Jamaica. So, yeah, you hear the creation is, you hear creation outside of my door while I'm here on the island doing my summer workshop. We're closed today, we're closed tomorrow, we're closed all the way to Friday. We're celebrating the birth of Christ in Christ's kingly and queenly character. So that first burst out of creation was this birth. This birth signified that Jesus is real and can transform into a King of Kings, as was told when he was crucified. Do not cry for me, because when I come again, I'm coming as a royalty, as a divine majesty, and everyone is not going to know. People are going to be still stuck like Chuck, right, with the first coming, and still waiting for the slave master to tell them this is the second coming. But it's not going to go that way. The slave master gave you that first piece, right? Peace. When I say peace, I mean, you know, the diploma you get in the graveyard and the cemetery, gave you that and said you got to work on this earth and then die, and that's when you're going to be free. Well, that was a false narrative, because we all know that being free is being alive. And when you transition from this life, you're going to another life that is outside of this body, because when you are separate from the body, you are one with the Most High. And you can be that way alive physically. You can be separate from your body. That's what happened to me when I was in sackcloth and ash. I was separate from my body. I didn't wear deodorant. I used lime to squeeze on. I wore sackcloth. I made my own clothes, my own shoes. I totally didn't distance myself from my body, from myself. And I was pregnant at the time too. I was pregnant. So when I gave birth naturally at home, that's when I became one with my body. And I was like, oh my goodness, I felt the pulling down of this birth as I'm coming in oneness with my body. And that was the jumping off point for me in my physical sexuality. That began after that birth. And it was interesting because soon after the birth, because before the birth I had separated from my children's dad, and in that separation I was pregnant, and in that separation I was pregnant, even though and then in June 1999 the divorce, was finalized. So my daughter was born November 1999. So right before then, I pulled away from that life. And it's interesting because when we look at the Psalm today, it's about steadfast love. And you have to have faith for that steadfast love. You have to have faith to have steadfast love, because things may come at you that may not be love, and you have to keep your love, your steadfast love, in place. So we're shouting for joy in Psalm 33. And it's interesting, this is the Psalm today because Selassie I was a 33-degree Mason. He was the head of the Masons, actually. He was the highest of them, and as a human on the earth. So 33, Psalm 33, 22 verses. We got double 3, double 2, beautiful psalm. So the first verse is shout. Shout for joy in righteousness. So, and then it says, oh, you righteousness. So shout for joy in righteousness. Chant melody, make music that befits the upright. So what kind of music befits the upright? Calling women bitches and hoes? No, I don't think so. What befits the upright is the heartbeat. The heartbeat. Do good. Do good, do good, do good. That's what the Nyabinge children chant from the time they come out the body. They're chanting, do good, do good. So if you keep hearing that all the time, you're gonna seek for good every place. You're gonna do good. You're gonna embody that, because you're giving the sound and melody that befits the upright. Verse 2, giving thanks to righteousness with the instrument. Giving thanks to righteousness with the drums. Making melody to righteousness with the harp of 10 strings. The harp is a beautiful instrument. Oh my goodness. So verse 3 now, chant to righteousness a new song. A new song. You know, people are going to break up with you. People are going to leave you. People are going to pass away. You're going to feel sad. You're going to be hurt. You're going to feel betrayed. All of these things you're going to have. However, you're going to chant a new song. You're going to get up out of your bed, out of depression and anxiety, and you're going to chant a new song. And you're going to play skillfully with loud shouts. Jah! Rastafari! Selassie the First, with shouts. Righteousness! Shout it out. You get it out of you get it out, because that is what's going to return to you. What you shout out is what you're going to get back. So when you're playing violent video games, kill, 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 that's what's going to happen. When you're saying hello, 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 hell is low, that's where you're going to go. Hell going to come on you. So the words you speak are going to manifest into your life. So I don't use the word luck. Somebody told me good luck. I was like, I rebuke you, Lucifer. I rebuke you, Satan, and your words of luck, because that is what that is. Luck is part of Lucifer's plan to tell you you're going to be lucky. And I am not using words like that. So when a person, you know, my ex's new girlfriend or whatever is texting me, it's crazy, y'all, and told me good luck. And I said, I don't deal with luck. What is it? This person, forgive them for they don't know. So this is what we do. We look at the commandment, and which one was it that I read? Oh, this one. The 8th commandment, right? We're not going to slander them. We're not going to destroy their reputation. Instead, we are to come to their defense, right? So I'm not going to slander this person. I'm going to say, I'm going to come to the defense. They may be under the influence of white supremacy. They may be under the influence of, you know, colonial and capitalistic teachings. So they may be under those influences. So I always send light and love to the person. Sending light and love, because that is what I want in return. So when you're characterizing someone and their reputation as emotionally distressed, this is what the person characterized me as, emotionally distressed, and my behavior because I am expressing my truth about the relationship. It's daunting in that when I look at the commandment here, this is what is being done to me. This person is trying to destroy my reputation, and slander and me. So instead of coming to my defense, and speaking well of me, you know, and interpreting everything that I do in the best possible light, because I'm not trying to hurt anyone, that's not what's happening. So this 8th commandment, I will call out to folks out there to deep dive into that. So when we look at this new song, we're playing a new song skillfully. In verse 4, it talks about the word that I just talked about using words that are demonic, that are down pressing, that are not liberating. Stay away from words like that. For verse 4 talks about, for the word of righteousness is upright, and all the works of righteousness is done in faithfulness. Okay? So the word is upright. I'm not going to use words that are down, that are wrong. I'm going to use words that are going to lift me up and liberate me into the reality that I have an advocate with righteousness, mercy and love and kindness. And my faith is deeply rooted in that. So that's why you see I have the works behind it. Go to my Facebook. You're going to see I was live yesterday with the children that I teach in the summertime. Okay? I'm doing the work of righteousness. I'm taking children and I'm teaching them about themselves and their goodness and their mercy and their compassion, and using literacy skills and art and the historic places and spaces on the beautiful island of St. John in the Virgin Islands. Thank you. Shout out to all my supporters, because I couldn't do this without my supporters. It wouldn't happen. I don't get paid. I'm a lead volunteer, and I pay everybody. I just paid my staff yesterday. So, faithfulness. All righteous work is done in faithfulness. Verse 5. The one that loves righteousness and justice. Okay? The earth is full of the steadfast love of righteousness. And you heard it. You heard it when the rooster crows. You heard it when the birds flow. You're hearing it, okay? You hear it. So when we look at verse 5, righteousness loves righteousness, right? Birds of a feather flock together, right? Righteousness loves righteousness and justice. The earth is full of the steadfast love of righteousness, okay? Through the word of righteousness, the heavens were made. So remember, we talked about the word in verse 4, that the word is upright. It's so upright that it actually made the heavens up in its creation. And through the breath of the mouth of righteousness, all was made. All was made. So righteousness, the Most High, gathers the waters of the sea as a heap and puts the deeps in storehouses. Okay? When we look at that verse, gathering the water of the sea as a heap, okay, and putting the deeps in storehouses. So we're storing things for later on. Verse 8, let all the earth fare righteousness. Let all the earth fare. Fare. So in your mind and your heart, you're like, oh, I don't want to do that to that person. That's wrong. You're afraid to do wrong. You want to do what is right. And this is what that verse 8 is talking about. That fear. You're afraid to do wrong. You're afraid to go and steal. All these commandments I read, you're afraid to have other gods, to be serving other things. You're afraid to make wrongful use of the name of what righteousness is. You're afraid to, the words you speak. You're careful with how you speak your words. You're keeping it sacred. You're afraid to disrespect your mother and father. That is, and then you're afraid to kill someone or murder or harm someone. You're afraid to cheat on someone and lie to them and deceive them. You're afraid to steal and take people's money and not protect their income and their property. You're afraid that you're going to you're afraid to tell lies about people and untruths about folks. You're afraid to covet your neighbor's property and take people's inheritance and their property. You're afraid to do that. You're afraid to lust after your friend's wife. You're afraid to entice and force people to be with you. You're afraid. That's what the fear of the Lord is. You're afraid of doing the wrong thing. And you err on the side of kindness and righteousness and goodness and mercy and love. So you are honest with people, especially people that you speak about that you love. Okay, people cheat on people. My dad cheated on my mom, it's no secret. And she stayed and stayed and stayed. And she always said, if you love me, you wouldn't cheat on, you wouldn't do that. You would communicate with me, talk to me. But when you have been traumatized with a war in Vietnam, twice you volunteered to go serve your country. You return with little or nothing of yourself. You're not going to be able to be fully present for your wife and children with the trauma. So how do you think somebody who has childhood trauma, who was molested or who was abused or saw abuse, is going to fare out in their relationship? They may not be able to communicate. They may not be able to love you. They may not be able to be with you fully the way you would want them to, because they're dealing with childhood trauma that they probably have covered up with alcohol, with gambling, with sex, with all kinds of other things. Exactly what the first commandment says. You shall have no other gods. And people put these things as their gods. And when they don't have them, they're in a twist. They're in a turn. They're in just like the electricity. WAPA, the Water and Power Authority in the Virgin Islands, is stealing from the people. And what is the psalm about? I mean, this commandment. Oh, the seventh commandment, you shall not steal. But they're stealing services from the people. Okay, so, and then the people end up doing the same thing, stealing from other people. So it's like a ripple effect going down the chain. If the one on top is stealing, everybody else gonna do it. So we have to look to return now to our place of goodness and mercy and righteousness. We have to return to who we are. We're not heathens. You're not somebody out there who is, slinging and slaying folks and hurting and harming. So we have to come into that about ourselves. And we have to come into that knowledge that we have to be afraid of the Lord. And what is the Lord? People say fear the Lord, but what is that? Fearing the Lord is fearing all that I just mentioned. That you're afraid to do wrong. You're afraid to, my palm is itching. You're afraid to be part of injustice. You're afraid to be, part of wrongness. You want to love righteousness and justice, and you want to see that. I don't want peace. Don't give me peace. That's a diploma you get in the cemetery. I don't want peace. I want love. I want tranquility, as El Sue just greeted me with. That's what I want, and I receive it, El Sue. Thank you very much. So when we look at this verse 8, I'm stuck on this because it's so important, and I reference the 10 Commandments. And all the inhabitants stand in awe of righteousness. Okay? Stand in awe of righteousness. Whenever I go somewhere, I am stared at. I mean, literally, people stop and stare at me. Any place I go. And then when I go out into nature, the animals stop there and stare at me. I get the birds, I get the stingrays, I get all of these animals that just come up to me and look and stare in awe. And it's not me, it's the righteousness that is emanating from me. You ever heard animal can smell your fear of them? Yes. Well, I'm not afraid of animals. I'm not going to be afraid of animals. I'm more afraid of doing the wrong thing than of the creatures of this earth. So we're going to stand in awe of righteousness. Verse 9, for righteousness spoke and righteousness came to be. Righteousness commanded and righteousness stood firm. Okay? Righteousness, this is verse 10. Righteousness brings the teachings of the nations to nothing. So all the teachings of the world are nothing compared to what righteousness teaches. That's why in the public school, they're not going to teach you about Malcolm X. They're not going to teach you about Selassie the First's birthday today. They're not going to teach you about Marcus Garvey. They're not going to teach you that because the teachings of the nations are going to be brought to nothing, because righteousness is the whole and the fullness. So righteousness is going to frustrate the plans of the peoples. Okay? Look at what's happening in our world today with this election and all this drama and pomp and circumstance and show. Okay? Look at what's happening there. So the teaching of righteousness stands for all time to come. The plans of righteousness to all generations. Blessed is the nation who takes on righteousness, because righteousness is going to exalt a nation, people. Okay? Righteousness is going to exalt a nation. So blessed is the nation that has righteousness. The people whom righteousness has chosen as a heritage. So this is your heritage. This is your inheritance. That's why I don't want people's inheritance and property and land. And I'm going to get my own land. I'm going to get my own property. The Most High blessed the child that got their own, folks. So stop stealing what's not yours. So that's a heritage, a chosen heritage. And righteousness is looking. Righteousness looks from up above and sees all the children of humanity. From where righteousness sits enthroned, righteousness looks out on all the inhabitants of the earth. And righteousness is what fashions the hearts of one's all and observes all one's deeds. So if your words are different from your works and your thoughts are totally different from them all, you're out of balance. Your thoughts, your words, and your works should be in synchronicity. I don't want to even say synchronicity. In harmony. We go and sin no more. We don't use the word sin. I told them at the church, we're not going to use the word sing. We're going to chant. We're going to make melody to the Most High. That's what we're going to do. And they were like, okay. You know, my mom is like, they're going to throw you out the church. I'm like, whatever. I'm here to liberate the words. Who don't want to hear it, you can cast me away. Like, you know, this is, I'm actually expecting that to happen, because this is what happened to Jesus, right? When he came in and turned up the money tables, he was a radical rebel. He bust out the place because he was like, I serve my Father. Okay, that's who I serve. My Father, who put me in charge here to redeem the world, because the world is effed up. Shucks. So we look at this enthroned, right? And the king is not saved by a great army. A warrior is not delivered by their great strength. The war horse is a false hope for salvation. And through the war horse, its great might cannot rescue. So from verse 16 to 17, we see that these things of the world cannot save us. Right? Biden can't save you. Kamala Harris can't save you. Trump can't save you. Politicians, senators, the governments, they cannot save you. They're all crumbled. And people are there picking up the pieces. Okay? Like when Samson shook the Philistines and crumbled them down. Right? This is what is happening. This is what is happening. You cannot be saved by these powers and principalities of this world. They're going to take you down with them. And it's going to be sad. It's going to be a sad day. It's going to be a weeping and a moaning. And it's going to be sad because people are going to realize what they have gotten into. There's people talk about the pandemic and the vaccine as, you know, this nefarious mark. It's getting to be worse. If you want, remember you couldn't go into a store, buy or sell without a mask, right? And that was something that was on you. They're getting ready to put something in you, inside of your skin, where you can scan it. And you're not going to be able to buy anything without that. You're not going to be able to sell anything without that. People are going to end up being sacrificial lambs for their families, because their families are not going to want to do that, and they're going to do it to help their family. It's going to get serious. So we look at the Psalm and verse 18. Behold, the eye of righteousness is on those that fear righteous, that fear doing wrong. That's what I'm gonna put there. So righteousness is looking at those who are afraid to do the wrong thing. They want to stand up for what's right. They're afraid to do the wrong thing, right? This is what righteousness, the Most High's eyes are looking at. It's looking at those who are afraid to do the wrong thing. They're afraid to hurt people. They're going to tell people the truth. Okay? People like to water things down. They don't like to tell people the truth because they don't want to hurt them. But you hurt them even more when you don't tell them the truth. So be honest, because that is what righteousness is. When you're not, you are going into a place of foreboding. Okay, you're going to go into a place of confusion when you're not honest with folks. So, behold, the eye of righteousness is on those who fear wrongness, on those who have steadfast love. They have faith in steadfast love. Okay? Verse 19, that righteousness may deliver one's life from death and keep them alive during famine. Okay? So this is what the fear of wrongdoing is. You fear to do wrong. You want to do right, and you want to hope, or you want to have faith in the steadfast love of righteousness that's going to be there intact for you. Because that is what's going to deliver your life from death. Physical, financial, any kind of death you're going to be delivered from. Because death is not the end. We transition to another life. We have another life to live after this physical life. So, we may be finished on this earth with our job, our work, but we still have another work to do in the ancestral plane. We got a work to do. Our ancestors are behind this veil of a screen. They're seeing us, because look at that. Behold, the eye of righteousness is looking at you. Is looking at you. So you're going to be kept alive once you have faith in the steadfast love of what is righteous. Verse 20, I life waits for righteousness. Okay? I'm waiting for righteousness. I'm waiting for goodness, mercy, love, and kindness. That's what I'm waiting for. And if I don't see that in you, then I'm walking away, because that's what I'm waiting on, is that. Okay? And that was verse 20. Your life is waiting for righteousness. Righteousness is Ainai's strength and Ainai's shield. That's what's going to protect you. Your own goodness and mercy is going to protect you. For Ainai heart is glad in righteousness. I'm happy to do good. I'm happy to be kind to folks. It's a good feeling to give. It's a good feeling to be nice. It's a good feeling to be kind. When I got the job as a professor, my supervisor said one thing that she asked my reference about me is, what kind of person am I? And my supervisor said that my former supervisor at the university where I used to teach said, Dr. Sewer is a nice person. She is a nice person. And when my current supervisor said that, I was like, wow, okay, somebody can, somebody sees that. And that is what I credit that to, my righteousness, to the Most High that's a high above me. I'm just, insignificant in the whole thing. What's above me is more powerful, so I seek for what's above, not for what's below. Hi, SR. Thanks for joining. Happy Haile Selassie first birthday today. So, in verse 21, you're going to be glad in right. You're going to be glad to do good. I'm happy to do good and be nice, because it's so many. It's kindness, love, compassion, mercy. These are all the names of righteousness. Kadamawe, Haile Selassie, Negus, Jesus, Lord God. Oh, it's beautiful. So I don't discriminate. I'm not going to discriminate because you call Papa Boji. I love it. I love the names of the Most High Righteousness. We're going to call the name in different languages. Okay? That's what we do. So in verse 22, this is the final verse of the psalm. Let your steadfast love, O righteousness, be upon everyone out there listening to me today. And anyone who can hear my words, I'm asking for steadfast love to be upon everyone that's listening to my words, even as we hope or have faith in righteousness. Okay? So we're asking for the steadfast love of hope in righteousness. My internet is going in and out. I don't know what's happening, but we give thanks. Selah and Selah again. Here ends the psalm for today. Psalm 33. His Majesty Haile Selassie I, Ethiopia. For those of you who want to learn about His Majesty, okay, His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I was born as Lij Tafari Makonnen on July 23rd, 1892, in the town of Ijarsa Gora in the Haraj province, some 18 miles outside of Harar, Ethiopia. Lij Tafari was given the religious name Haile Selassie. He was the son of Ras Makonnen, governor of Harar under his kinsman Emperor Menelik II. Ras Makonnen, a Shoa Amharan noble, was married to an Oromo, Yashim Abet, who died 2 years after Lij Tafari's birth. Okay? In a significant break with precedence, Lij Tafari Makonnen was raised with an standing firm about world affairs and with an exposure to the outside world. He was to become the first emperor of Ethiopia to have traveled extensively abroad. Ha! That is evidence right there of the Most High returning in the flesh of Haile Selassie I. That's evidence right there, because Haile Selassie I didn't isolate himself in Ethiopia. He went outside of Ethiopia. Okay, just like Jesus did. Jesus broke precedence. He turned the money tables upside down, man. So what do you think? When he come again, he's not going to have that same irates, that same internal righteousness that is from the Father, the Blessed Mother? Okay, then. So Ras Makonnen and therefore Lij Tafari Makonnen were directly of the Solomonic line. This is Solomon and David. Remember, David is who wrote the Psalms. Solomon was his daddy. Okay? So Selassie I is directly from that Solomonic line, as was Emperor Menelik himself. And Tafari Makonnen's great-great-grandfather, Negus Shahila Selassie. My sister's name is Shahala. Okay? And her name was given to her by an Ethiopian woman. She's covered and blessed being blessed with that name from an Ethiopian woman from the family of Haile Selassie I himself. So don't play with me, y'all. So that direct lineage of the Solomonic line, as was Emperor Menelik himself and Tafari Makonnen's great-great-great-grandfather, Negus Sahila Selassie of Shoa. King Sahili Selassie had already made treaties with foreign states, including Queen Victoria, Britain. The Queen Elizabeth, she had to bow down to Selassie the First. 72 nations bowed to this one. You gonna tell me? You can fool some people sometime, but you can't fool all the people all the time now. People waiting for Jesus, they're waiting for him to come back, and they refuse to see, because white supremacy, okay, colonial and capitalism got together and had a baby called white supremacy. They don't want nothing black. They want God, Lord, and Jesus to be white. Okay? They don't want black. Yesterday, when my students were doing art, they did the sun, the moon, and the earth. And then the background, I said, what color is the background? What color is the universe? Everyone shouted black. I said, yes, black is beautiful. But we have been taught that black is ugly. We have been taught that the lighter skin you are, the beautiful you are. We've been taught these things. So when I look at Haile Selassie I's birthday today, it's significant for me. And I'm going to share it. I'm going to shout it out because it is important. The word today is forgiveness. Forgiveness. Yesterday, I had an aha moment. I forgave those who hurt me. Like literally, it just, I was released. Forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. Okay? I did that yesterday and it was released. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable how powerful the words are. So, the word today is forgiveness. Mercy transforms I and I heart and frees I and I life. Exactly what I just said. That's what forgiveness does. It frees your heart. It frees your life. You're no longer bonded down or chained down to a feeling of somebody hurt you. You're just forgive them and you're free. It's so amazing. So this is the word. When I want to release thoughts and feelings that are weighing heavily on me, I imagine myself tossing papers into a fire and watching them being burned by the flames. I keep this image in my mind when I'm ready to forgive. I search I and I heart for blocks to compassion. Like, where am I being blocked to be compassionate? I turn to righteousness within and let myself feel gratitude for my ability to forgive. You have that ability, so you're grateful for that ability to forgive. Truly forgive. I imagine tossing my blame and grudges into the flames and watching them turn to ash. I visualize a breeze carrying the ashes far away from me, from I and I, as I feel lighter, freed from the weight of resentment. You know, you resent someone who's hurt you. You're free from resentment. You're free from that weight. You feel lighter because you've forgiven. You have forgiven the whatever it is. In communication to righteousness, I open I and I self to divine love and freely feel newly cleansed and healed. Receive that, everybody. That you are cleansed and healed because you're communicating with righteousness and you're opening yourself to divine love. And that is what cleanses and heals you. I offer forgiveness and receive the grace of righteousness. Drop the mic on that one. So I offer forgiveness. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive this person. I forgive that. I forgive America for their nefarious, evil ways. I forgive colonialism and capitalism for creating white supremacy and for indoctrinating people under the influence of that to hate themselves and hate each other. I forgive you, America, for all of your your wars that you created, and the dead bodies that you have piled up, and the blood on your hands, America. I forgive you, okay? So put away, this is Ephesians 4:31 that supports the word of the day. Put away from you all bitterness and wrath and anger and wrangling and slander, together with all malice. So someone cheated on me, and I posted that they're a cheat. I didn't put their name, but I took it down because I realized that when we look at, we don't want to, where is the commandment? We don't want to put folks down. Oh yeah, the 8th commandment. we don't want to tell lies, and I don't tell lies about anyone. I tell my truth. But sometimes my truth can reveal a person's character and behavior that's not good. And I don't want to put anybody down, you know what I mean? Or destroy anybody's reputation. Instead, I want to come to their defense and speak well of them. Maybe they don't know how to communicate. Maybe they have childhood trauma that's preventing them from being present in a relationship. So we want to interpret everything that people do in the best possible light, okay? And leave them to the higher power, that higher one that's above. So we put away in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31. And Ephesians is one of my favorite books, alongside Isaiah. So Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31, put away from you all bitterness. Don't hate white people, black people, Chinese people. Don't hate people, Santo Domingo people. Don't hate folks. Okay? Put away all the bitterness and wrath and anger you feel for people, and wrangling and slander and malice. Put it away. Love each other as children of righteousness. And then people are going to reveal themselves better to you when you're looking at their righteousness. You may find, oh, they just slammed the door in my face. Then you know who a person is. Maya Angelou said it best. A person is going to tell you who they are. Believe them. Believe them. Don't have a fantasy in your mind that you want to make them bitter. You want to make you better. You want to make them, to stop, I don't know, smoking cigarettes, whatever. So you want to put away all bitterness. And that is Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31. Okay? And this is what America did. They discriminated against black people. They said all black people is this. So when one black person broke the precedents, it's like, whoa, what's happening, right? They're not all that. They're not all what you say they all are. Everyone is different. Everyone has qualities that are different. And just because we have a shell, somebody told me this is an avatar, we're in a shell, this is our skin. We should not discriminate because of how we look. That is what the racist white supremacist does. And now black people are doing it to each other. I don't like you, you're ghetto. I don't like you, this person is down south ghetto. It's like, what? So the white supremacist has turned black people against each other, has turned black people against every other race. Like, this is ridiculous. Race is just a con. A con is a lie, okay? So when you say I'm black, I'm this, I'm that, that is just superficial. That is not what makes a person a person. The color of your skin doesn't make you who you are. Is the character of your inside. Like Martin Luther King says, is the content of your character. Okay, if you show me a character about you that's stealing, trying to get over, I'm going to say this is who you are. I'm not going to say everybody who looks like you is that way. No. you're that way because you showed me that way. So I'm not going to hold that against everybody that looks like you. Just like if a dog bites you, that one dog bit you. You're not going to hate all dogs for the rest of your life. You're going to, you know what I'm saying? So we cannot be about hate. We have to be about love. Love is the whole key to this life. So let's look at quickly the verse of the day. So we did the Psalm of the day, that's 33. We did the word of the day, forgiveness. Go forgive somebody today that you don't want to forgive. Forgive somebody today. So the verse of the day we come to is coming from Matthew chapter 19, verse 14. And it speaks of Jesus. Jesus said, "Let the little children come to righteousness, and do not hinder the little children from coming to righteousness. For the place of righteousness belongs to such as these children." So you have to be like a child to enter into that place of righteousness. You know, you have to be like that. Somebody told me the other day, they were like, when you're around these children, you turn into a 5-year-old. I'm like, I do? I didn't know that I did that. But I had a beautiful childhood. I don't have childhood trauma. Nobody molested me. Nobody raped me. Nobody beat me up. Nobody called me names. I didn't see my dad beating up my mom. I didn't see violence. I had a beautiful childhood. So I always end up with folks who are the opposite. And I become their teacher, their therapist, I don't know what. And it doesn't work out. So go and heal yourself. If you have childhood trauma, you need to go heal yourself. You need to find a therapist. You know, you need to find somebody to talk to so you can know how to handle the triggers in life that may come at you. Because you may be triggered. I was in a relationship with someone and they were like, my stepfather did that. And the stepfather beat the mother up and put the mother down. And they were comparing me to that because I was saying something to help them better themselves. And I guess it came across that way, but they took it and it triggered that childhood trauma. So I don't want to be compared to somebody's childhood trauma. I don't want to be compared to your mom who abused you. I don't want to be compared to your father or stepfather who did you something wrong. I don't want to be compared to that. So when you do that, that means you're not fully healed from the childhood trauma, and it's not going to sit well with you in your relationships. So that is our psalm for today. We're at an hour and 30 minutes, everybody. Thank you for joining. We're gonna outro with the Chant a Day, and everybody have a blessed, beautiful day. We are celebrating the birth of His Majesty Haile Selassie the First. Ethiopia. Chant a Day. 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 Keep the devil away. Chant a Day. Chant a Day. Selah and Selah again. Yes, Selah and Selah again. Everybody have a blessed, beautiful day. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.